It's 3 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling. Your phone is face down beside you because you promised yourself you wouldn't check it. Your brain is calling this a problem. But for most of human history, this exact moment was not a problem at all. It was just Tuesday. You've been told your whole life that sleep should be one long, unbroken block. 8 hours, lights off, lights on. Anything less is failure. But your ancestors didn't sleep that way. And the story of how you learned to sleep wrong is stranger than you think. Let's go back. Not centuries, not millennia, just a few hundred years before the invention of the electric light. Historian A. Roger Kirch spent over a decade digging through diaries, court records, and medical texts from pre-industrial Europe. He wasn't looking for anything about sleep specifically, but he kept noticing something odd. Again and again, ordinary people described waking in the dead of night, not from nightmares, not from noise, but on schedule. They called it first sleep. And after an hour or two of quiet wakefulness, they would drift into a second sleep that carried them to dawn. This wasn't rare. It wasn't a disorder. It was so normal that people wrote about their first sleep hours the way you might write about your commute. What did they do during that gap? Some prayed. Some had sex. Some talked quietly with a spouse in the dark. Some got up, tended the fire, visited a neighbor, then went back to bed. Physicians of the time even recommended it as the ideal window for conception, believing the body was calmest then. Sounds strange, doesn't it? Here's where it gets stranger. In the 1990s, psychiatrist Thomas Ware ran an experiment at the National Institute of Mental Health. He took a group of volunteers and put them in a room with 14 hours of darkness a night, no artificial light, for a month. No screens, no streetlights, just darkness, the way most of human history experienced. The subjects stopped sleeping in one long block. Instead, they split into two distinct phases, just like Kirch's diaries described. A few hours of sleep, a quiet waking period, then more sleep, where subjects, without ever being told about historical sleep patterns, rediscovered them on their own. Your body, it turns out, still remembers. So what changed? One invention: artificial light. Once it became cheap and constant, humans compressed their sleep into a single block to make room for longer days. First sleep and second sleep merged into one continuous stretch, the pattern you were raised to think of as normal. It's not ancient. It's barely 200 years old, which means the thing you call insomnia at 3 a.m. might not be a malfunction. It might be your biology trying to return to a rhythm it used for most of its existence. But here's the twist that makes this more than a historical curiosity. Sleep scientist Charles Cheesler, who has spent decades studying circadian rhythms at Harvard, has shown that your internal clock isn't actually built around one solid sleep period at all. It's built around light exposure. Your body doesn't know what year it is. It doesn't know about work schedules or streaming services. It only knows whether it's bright or dark. And for nearly all of human history, dark meant something specific. It meant an unhurried, 12-hour night with room to wake, think, rest again, and wake once more. You, on the other hand, are asking your body to do something it was never designed for. Fall asleep the second the light goes off. Stay unconscious for a precise, uninterrupted block. Wake up the second an alarm demands it. No wonder your 3 a.m. waking feels like betrayal. It's not betrayal. Relatives were actually doing in that middle window. They weren't panicking about it. They weren't reaching for a phone to see if anyone else was awake. They were sitting with the dark. Some cultures believed that quiet hour was when the veil between dream and waking thinned, a good time for reflection or quiet conversation. It wasn't wasted time. It was folded into life, not fought against. Compare that to what happens now. You wake at 3 a.m. and your first instinct is dread. You check the time. You do math about how many hours are left. You tense up because deep down you believe this shouldn't be happening. That tension, that fight against your own body's ancient rhythm, may be the very thing keeping you awake longer than biology ever intended. There's a modern mirror here worth sitting with. Go to any city at 3 a.m. and you'll find a strange, quiet population. People scrolling in bed, feeling broken. People assuming something is wrong with them because the world outside is asleep and they are not. But zoom out across the full span of human history, and it's the opposite. Unbroken 8-hour sleep is the anomaly, the strange, historically brief experiment. Your restless middle-of-the-night mind is the default setting, not the glitch. That doesn't mean modern insomnia isn't real. or that stress and screens and caffeine don't make things worse. They do. But some of what you're feeling at 3 a.m. isn't malfunction. It's memory. A body built across hundreds of thousands of years, briefly living inside 2 centuries of artificial light, occasionally slipping back into the rhythm, and the world feels like it's paused just for you. You might try something different. Instead of reaching for the phone, instead of counting the hours you're losing, just sit with it for a moment. Let your mind wander the way your ancestors' minds wandered. No deadline, no dread, just the old, familiar dark, and a body that remembers exactly what to do with it. It's 3 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling. And for the first time, it doesn't feel like a problem. It feels like a memory your body has been trying to hand you all along.